everybody, Don McDaniel here with the very first edition of Opinion Bleeder. Hopefully there'll be many more of these to come, and please don't be too harsh in your comments. Give me some feedback about how we can make this better. The idea is to do quick hits, and yes, I have many opinions, and I'm going to share them, and looking forward to others and their feedback. This talk is the short blurb is really about some work we're doing around strategic planning. I've been focused on and thinking about strategic planning for organizations, and mostly in healthcare or healthcare related industries, for a very long time. And I've learned a lot, I've failed a lot, and I've also become fascinated with what we call in a recent blog, the planning paradox or the strategy paradox. The paradox is that for some reason, for different reasons, organizations almost uniformly, certainly business organizations, uniformly feel compelled to do some kind of strategic planning. But many, like less than 10%, don't really follow through. So I think the data says 80% drive planning, only 10% really follow through and execute on the planning. And so that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And a lot of people walk away saying, oh, planning, this is just something we have to do. It's a requirement. It's something to check the box, right? But what's interesting about that small group, that 10% that follows through, is the data is replete with suggestion that that small group outperforms everybody else. And it seems to be that there's a causation between the fact that they are very focused on driving actionable outcomes and creating the results, right? So, love to go into this more deeply with you, but a couple of takeaways really tied to misnomers that we think about a lot, and that are, sort of recurrent as we talk to people. Number one, strategic planning is really business planning on a continuous loop. The reality is you get more out of this if you turn this into an ongoing set of operating mechanisms that you are pursuing, tracking, learning. Yes, learning. There's a lot of discovery. You're failing. There's a lot of that sort of MVP, fail fast if you're going to fail fast. But strategic planning is really continuous business planning. Number two, the name is a misnomer because it's not really strategic planning, I don't think. I think what the idea is to plan strategically, okay? So not everything you do in a planning cycle, it would be deemed as strategic, right? When you look at the literature, I think the term strategic tends to mean, or has meant, different people have suggested that strategic is the difference between something that takes multiple years to execute versus something in a shorter condensed period, like a year or whatever the case may be. That might be a tactic. I think that's a bunch of baloney, but I do think, again, coming back to what I said, planning should be continuous, and we should be planning strategically. And then the third thing, and I think this is the biggest takeaway from my perspective, is when I started to really understand strategic planning and who really drives it in a lot of organizations, the reality is what we're trying to identify, given all that we know and all that we learn, what are the few things that we can do? If we do them well and execute, we change the game for our customers, okay? The end game is not to do a million things. The end game is what happens next, right? So if we could rank our priorities around, what are those few things that we can do and really execute well, that's what we want to focus on, right? And then we want to focus on creating accountability, right? Tracking and visibility, transparency, and execution, okay? We want to follow that through and see it to its end and make sure that we are executing. So until we get together again, looking forward to creating more value. Thanks for spending time with me, and look out for more opinion bleeders.